is Allison and Jason Leggett with our presentation on PDK polls. The first poll that we focused on was about America's views on Common Core and other issues. Within this poll, we also chose to focus on the 21st century skills. They wanted to know which skills the public felt was most important. So 80% of the people polled agreed that schools should teach critical thinking skills. 78% strongly agree that communication skills are important, with the majority of Americans still believing things like collaboration, creativity, character, and well-being are also important 21st century skills.
So what are the implications for the stakeholders? Well, the first stakeholder, students, it's important that they develop critical thinking that will help in higher education and will help later in life in their careers. For families, they'll know that their children will have the ability to communicate with others in future jobs and handle adversity. For teachers, higher thinking in the classroom. This allows for a greater variety of curricula. For administration, you'll have more classes and more electives, allowing students to be more successful in what they like. And the community, higher achieving school district, increased graduation rates, equal higher property values. Students are going to be more job ready if they're not college bound.
So if we were the curriculum director of a district that was facing these challenges, the first thing we would do would be to look at our math and science courses. These two courses generally have the most critical thinking and higher thinking skills needed within them. So we would try to get higher level courses to start earlier in academic careers, even as early as elementary school. Math and science creates critical thinking skills. We would also like to introduce evidence-based writing at a younger age. This creates a way to synthesize data, and it gives kids the tools to communicate that information. We would also then look into after-school programs or clubs that are more specialized, things like robotics clubs or coding clubs, things like that. The PDK poll number 2 that we focused on was Americans want schools to help poor students with things like health care.
The data, after-school programs, mental health support, and other health services for students that would otherwise not have access to these programs. Out of the roughly 1,500 adults surveyed, 77 said that there are 4 after-school programs. 76% said that they would like schools to provide mental health services. 66% said that they would favor health services being provided through the school. 44% of those surveyed would like to see schools provide dental services. And 76% also agree that schools are justified to seek funds to pay for those services. This is the important bit here. 76% of those that were surveyed agreed that additional funding should be made available.
So what are the implications for the stakeholders? First and foremost, you always have to look at what's going to happen with the students. Well, if the students are becoming more of a whole child, they're getting other needs met, their attendance will be increased and they'll have a potential rise in academic success. The more you're in school, the better you're going to do. For parents, that would increase family participation for them. And again, their child would become more of a whole child, a more satisfied being. For staff, they may need to look into volunteering their time depending on the program, but they're also looking at increased classroom attendance, a potential rise in success, academic success in their classroom, and better classroom behaviors. For administration, they may also need to volunteer their time, but they're going to spend a lot of their time seeking out the support and resources they need and trying to factor in the money aspect of bringing these kinds of programs into the district. As far as the community though, they might have to help with organization, there might be some social supports there, providing those wraparound services. But with all these things, with the whole child approach, there will be a better high achieving school district and potential higher property values, as well as they might have to provide some monetary support to get these things.
So if I were the curriculum director, what is needed for our school? Well, you need to discuss these ideas with other administrators. Seek out new ideas in the administrative team. You also need to get out into the community. the community is going to have to help in this, both monetarily and probably with some time. Families need to be aware of the services that the schools are trying to provide. The fact of the matter is if there's no communication with the families, most of these whole student ideas are going to go underused. Schedule after school help. Again, this is where the community can come in to play. Finally, give teachers the curriculum and training that they need to bring this information to the classroom as well. Professional development is going to be very important here. Teachers are going to have to understand and have a very good idea of what the school district is trying to accomplish with these, extracurricular activities.
Our third poll was, what do parents want in schools? You'll find that this goes along well with poll number 2, reverting back to that whole child aspect. So as far as the data in this poll, they wanted wraparound services again, things like mental health, social emotional learning, after school programs, and giving students the skills that they need to have a life outside of high school, after high school. 92% of the people who were polled support after school programs to cover these services for students who are underserved, whose parents might not be able to afford things like this. There's more emphasis on real-world skills and career readiness, and 82% of the people felt it's important to develop interpersonal skills for students.
The implication for stakeholders. Again, the stakeholders are going to be your students, parents, staff, administration, community. Students will gain critical thinking, communication, other universal skills, and increase attendance. Parents will have increased participation, stronger school relationship. This is really important, especially when we're talking about the whole child, that there's after school activities, that there's sort of a second shift of the school activities happening in the home. For the staff, this is going to be a reinforcement of community support. This will hopefully lead to better classroom behaviors, higher attendance. Administration, they've got to convince other stakeholders that after school programs are important. They have to seek out resources, money, other kind of staffing, and community engagement, relationships, support. It's important to understand that public schools are taking more of the societal issues under their wings, and this whole child idea is just another reinforcement of schools acting as an agent of change in the larger society.
Finally, if we were the curriculum director of a school facing these changes, we again would take a look at what is needed for our school. And these needs might vary between each school within the district. So it's a matter of discussing these ideas with other administration, talking to the teachers, finding out what each building needs, and seeing if there's a common need throughout the district that should probably be tackled first. So then after that, you would seek out community help, you'd get the words out to the families, schedule after school help, and then give teachers, again, the curriculum and the professional development training that they would need to bring the information into the classroom as well. Here are the resources from our PDK website. You can just click on the link and it will take you to the polls. Thank you for listening.